What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a little update for Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous regarding its next DLC, Through the Ashes, which received its formal announcement, if you will, from Owlcat Games, and will be releasing this month on April 21st. So we're going to run through a few things, but we did kind of already know what this DLC was going to be, however we didn't know when it was going to release. So thanks to the information from their Season Pass, which has been up since the game itself launched, we knew that this DLC was going to revolve around a separate group of heroes, if you will, that runs parallel to the game's first act. That is the invasion of Canabrus by demons. So at the same time the main hero is doing their whole thing, a separate adventure will be taking place with citizens of the city itself trying to reach safety during the middle of this invasion. Which, on its face, honestly, a pretty compelling premise. I've been looking forward to this one quite a bit, and naturally, I have some more details to share with you. So, in addition to the release date, they also mentioned two specific companions that we'll be traveling with, Rekarth, or Rekarth maybe, and Sindri. Now, Rekarth is a tiefling rogue, I would assume. They mention him as being a former thief, so I'm thinking rogue class probably, and Sindri is a gnome spellcaster, which means he's likely an illusionist, or a phantasmal mage. We also got a screenshot of a gelatinous cube in a graveyard, so we will very obviously be fighting a gelatinous cube. If you're unaware, this is actually a very popular, I guess you could say, enemy from the tabletop setting, which is honestly a pretty cool monster. Now, the announcement itself was a little light on details. As far as official stuff goes, that's kind of where it ends. However, I can elaborate a little bit farther, and this is because of Steam achievements, ironically enough. So one of the nice things about doing what I do on Steam, in that I 100% all these games, every once in a while I'll see those numbers shift, and I know when these games release new achievements because it messes up my lists and stuff. And the only time games get new achievements really is for expansions or DLC. So I actually saw all these achievements like a day before the DLC was announced. And from those achievements, I can glean a little bit more information. So for starters, the gelatinous cube in the screenshot appears to be a little bit of a mini boss. And the graveyard that it's occupying, this is a little aside, if you will. We've actually known about this graveyard in particular for a long time, and that's largely thanks to the modding scene. So with the help of mods, you could actually look at all the areas that are in the game files, and this graveyard was marked as a DLC area for quite some time, so it's nice to see it finally getting used. But a couple other things we can glean from the achievements is that there's going to be puzzles involved, though exactly what the nature of those is definitely up in the air. There's definitely going to be side quests, as there appears to be a few achievements directly related to completing what would appear to be a side quest in a specific way. And I'm not 100% sure if there's any more named companions besides the two that I've mentioned. However, there is an achievement related to finishing the game with just 3 people in your party, which in my opinion would imply the player character and then those 2 companions. However, at the same time, the implication that that's an achievement would mean that you could potentially complete the game with more than just that. So whether or not the full party size is like mercenaries or just generic characters remains to be seen. And then last but not least on that front, it appears the DLC is going to span quite a few locations. There is an achievement related to finding all of the underground mushrooms, which would imply being down in the Canabrus depths, which is where the mongrels live, or just in a cave of some sort, honestly. And then there is another achievement that specifically mentions knocking on all the doors in the Rich Quarter, so it does appear that we'll be moving around the map a great deal and actually seeing a few different settings. But that's basically everything I've got on this DLC, and luckily we don't have to wait very long for more answers, as again, this is launching on the 21st. But before I actually leave you guys, I did want to mention one more thing, and that is that this is the last of the story DLC, if you will, for Wrath of the Righteous. However, there is one more to go, and it is going to be a sort of roguelike dungeon experience, similar to what they did with the Beneath the Stolen Lands DLC from Kingmaker. However, that doesn't really have as much story, as that is primarily a dungeon crawling experience where you make a custom party, if you will. You can start it separately or from the main campaign as well. And while Beneath the Stolen Lands did have an interesting story attached to it, it was pretty unrelated to the main game. However, I mention that to mention the fact that we know Owlcat is already working on whatever their next title is. Because that's how these things work. They're not just sitting around waiting for this stuff. They have the ability to make more of these games, so they're working on something. We know that much. However, what I don't know is what it is. But I just wanted to mention here at the end that as they get closer and closer to wrapping up the DLC for Wrath of the Righteous, the closer we get to learning more about whatever they're working on next, which I'm personally excited for as I'm a big fan of their games and their approach to making said games. But with no further ado, guys, there you go. Hope you enjoyed the information and the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. Let me know what you think about the information here down in the comments below. But regardless of any of that, truly, thank you so much for watching. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.